we got a good topic for y'all. This week we are talking about 5 things that businesses don't do that they should do
when starting up.
Yes. And this even applies to those of you that have been in business for a long time, because it also works if you're adding a new product or adding a new service,
right.
Or if you haven't thought about these things for a long time, maybe it's something that you can look back and just reanalyze within your business. So the Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Casey Bryant, marketer and event planner.
If you run a business
or want to run a business,
welcome to the show. And we're back.
What's up, everybody?
Those who don't know, we just recorded a whole podcast without recording the podcast. So we're back.
We're like a year into this, y'all, and we still make mistakes.
It makes it fun.
Every week, I feel like it's all right. We're good. All right. So we're well and practiced for you guys for this one.
Oh, yeah. So we refined it. We're good.
Yes.
This will be better.
Yes. We are so glad to have you guys back with us for another episode of the Business Project Podcast. We have a good one for you today. We are still in our summer shorts, except for heading into the fall.
Right. We just like these.
We do. We like them. And they're not really short, but they're shorter than our original podcasts. And I think that, 15 to 20 minutes is good. So that's what we're going to try to keep them around. And we got a good topic for y'all. This week, we are talking about 5 things that businesses don't do that they should do
when starting up.
Yes. And this even applies to those of you that have been in business for a long time, because it also works if you're adding a new product or adding a new service,
right.
Or if you haven't thought about these things for a long time, maybe it's something that you can look back and just reanalyze within your business. So let's get into it.
Yeah. I like talking about us, right? Business starters, business owners as entrepreneurs, wantrepreneurs, and serial entrepreneurs, right? So those are an entrepreneur, someone who's just going to start a business, right? And has started a business, is growing a business, and all of that. It's a wantrepreneur, someone who wants to start a business, but is too afraid to take that step, right? Is too stuck in analysis paralysis. And then you have your serial entrepreneurs who starts multiple businesses. Like, you're a serial entrepreneur for sure. You have 5 or 6 businesses you've done in your lifetime. So you fall in that category. So you definitely have gone through these steps.
Yes,
right?
I have.
Several times. And
not perfect every time. I feel like I learn more every single time I do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the major things, for me, the reason why you've even started this whole program, the Business Project, is because you've seen the mistakes, not only that you made, but all these businesses that you've been around, that you've touched, have made as well.
Yeah.
Right. And the biggest one is starting a basic business plan.
Yep. That's our number one, a business plan. No proper planning.
Yeah. It's we're emotionally charged when we have these great ideas, right? When we're waking up out of a deep sleep, God's like, God put something in my head. Right? Or I think it was God that put something in my head, but it seems like this is the greatest thing. I'm going to go ahead and start selling popsicles in the winter. And I'm going to be a millionaire.
Right.
And then you just go and start doing it without even taking a step back and saying, okay, what do I need to do to make this happen? Is this truly a viable idea that can turn into something? Let's take a step back and do some research first.
Yes. Research. So important. There's so much that goes into a business besides coming up with an idea and running with it. And the more you can prepare, the more likely you're going to be successful. And you're not always going to be successful when you prepare, but it gives you a better chance of being successful. And if you have these things in place, and if you have done your research and put it down on paper, then you at least have a place to start. So if you fail, you have, okay, this is it written down. This is what we did. These were the steps that we take, so that you can easily take that and create a new plan, pivot.
You do what's called, in the military, we call it an after action review, right? You actually have something written down that you can review and say, where did we go wrong?
Right.
And make your proper adjustments so that when you do it again, Or if you want to do it again, you know what not to do, right? If you don't have that in place, like, what are you going to go by?
Just winging it.
Yeah, you're just winging it.
Yeah.
Willy-nilly, we call it, right?
Willy-nilly. Just willy-nilly in it.
You don't want to willy-nilly this.
No.
Right? This is something that's going to cost money. It's going to cause stress.
Costs
right?
lots of time.
Yeah. It can cause strife in your household, right? Because being an entrepreneur, you're putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that. So, if you're not putting the right planning process in place, then you're planning to fail.
Yep. Exactly. So the first step is neglecting to make a business plan. And we did whole podcasts about this. If you go way back to the beginning of our podcast, our very first series was all about creating a business plan and starting a business. And so go back and watch those. We also have a full course lesson in the businessprojectpodcast.com. Not podcast, thebusinessproject.com.
Yeah.
There's a full lesson on starting a business. I mean, it takes you step by step by step. And after like the first, after the 6th or 7th lesson, you have your entire business plan written out. There's templates and everything.
What's great about that is that wasn't created by some professor in a college that's never owned a business.
So true.
Right? It was created by people who have actually gone through it.
Right.
And this is valuable. Like it provides true value for you that are interested in getting into the business world, or those who are looking to refine their business. Like, check it out. You won't be disappointed.
You won't be disappointed. Yeah. So failure to make a business plan is the number one things that businesses forget to do or don't do because they don't think it's important when they get started.
Right. Control your emotions and plan.
All right. The second one, and all of the rest of these actually fall into the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these should be going into your business plan. The second one is lack of funding. And this is the main one that I see with all of the small businesses that I work with on a day-to-day basis. They start a business with $10 in their pocket and think that they're going to be successful, and they are not.
Right. Business takes money. Like, you're going to burn through some money when you start a business. You have to you got to maybe get them programs in place, right, for technology. So you got to get technology in place. You got to get something. You got to get a computer. You got to get your office set up or something, right? That's money. There's subscription costs in there. You got to get insurance. There's there's money there. You got the equipment. You got to potentially hire people. You have to market your business. Like
branding. Put money into branding and a website.
All of that takes money. So if you're not doing the proper planning to make sure you have that money, then you're not going to be able to invest in your business to make it successful.
And people can tell a lot of times when a business opens, especially if you have a brick and mortar, people can tell if you're skimping on the finances. And then they're like, do I really want to come eat at a restaurant that looks like they did their logo on Microsoft Word? Yeah. It's definitely, then they're like, what else are they skimping on, So it makes a big difference when you have proper funding.
I agree. If you're skimping on that stuff, then who's to say you're not skimping on the quality of the product or service that you're providing? Quality is everything. That's what's going to bring your customers back. They're providing quality service. But I think when it comes to funding, we have to be real with ourselves, right?
That's hard.
Yeah. I think money is the hardest conversation. That's why there's such a big business for financial advisors, right? Because they have those hard conversations with people. Everybody knows they need to be better with their money. Like, everybody knows they need to be better, but nobody really puts
it takes effort,
right?
And sacrifice.
Yeah. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Number one, you're not taught it in school.
Nope.
Your family probably doesn't teach you it for the majority, the majority of people I'm talking about here. Your family doesn't teach it to you. So you have to learn it, right? But it takes accountability in yourself, right? And it takes the foresight, the proper planning to say, what do I need to do to make sure I'm ready?
Yeah.
If your credit sucks, you're not going to get financing, right? If you don't know how to save money, or if you spend money on needless things, you're not going to have cash available for your business. If
you don't have a proper business plan, you're not going to be able to get funding from somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. Funding is a very, very important first step. And if you don't have a business plan, then you don't know how much funding you're going to need.
Yep. And you got to prepare, just make sure you prepare yourself personally so that if you don't have the cash, you can get capital, right? Otherwise, you're going to be suffering.
And if you don't have the proper funding, then don't start the business because you're going to waste so much time and so much energy and so much money in something that's not going to be successful. So even if it takes you a little bit longer to plan properly and get the proper funding, don't rush into starting a business with no money.
Right. And because it takes a while for a business to be able to support itself.
Right.
Like you have to put the work in before your business, before you reap the rewards, right? You got to plant the seed before the seed sprouts and you can harvest something. Mm-hmm. You got to plant the seed in your business before your business can give you something back.
I think this is hard with these days with social media because people see all of these businesses that they think, started one day and like now they're millionaires, especially with influencers and all of the things happening online. But I think in reality, that's a very small portion of businesses and entrepreneurs that are able to turn a profit right away. Right. Most of them, especially small town, local businesses, it takes a while before you start to see a return. So you guys have to make sure that you're planning for that too. And that's part of doing your research.
Yep. Very true. Yeah. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you're taking notes.
Yes. All right. So neglecting to make a business plan, lack of funding. And then the next one is failure to monitor progress.
Yeah.
I'm not good at this.
A lot of us aren't.
No.
I'm not good at it either. Because it's like, all right, so number one, how do we monitor progress first, right? I think what we need to talk about that coincides with that is when we're starting the business, creating processes around what we do every day that we can monitor.
Yes.
Right?
That's great.
Yeah.
Processes.
We create those and then we can monitor those to see what's working and what's not and make the proper changes. The problem with business owners, we're not creating the processes.
No.
We're not documenting what we do.
Because it takes time and effort.
Yes.
And we want to just do the fun thing.
Yep. We just want to make money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And that's great and that's fine and dandy, but to be a viable business that's here for the long haul, we got to document our processes and monitor the success of those processes.
Right. And some great examples of that would be getting an accounting system where you can run reports for your cash flow and your profit and loss and your balance sheets. We've gone over lots in the past. So, getting systems like that in place. Also, quality control. If you're running a business and you're doing carpet cleaning, how do you make sure that you do a great job every time, have systems in place to where you're not having to recreate what you do every time you walk into a house. Okay, we walk in, we put our little boot things on, we use these types of cleaners on a carpet with this, we take before and after pictures, we, putting all of those processes in place. Again, like we talked about with the business plan, if you have it written down and you have something that you can consistently follow, then it's much easier to look at it and say, okay, this can get better, or this is working, or this is not working.
Yep, exactly. And plus, when you're hiring people, it cuts your training time down.
So nice.
Right? Isn't that great?
Yeah.
So that then you can focus on generating more revenue. You have something you can provide the new person coming on board and say, here's our playbook. All right? We've documented all of our processes and we make sure they work. Get familiar with this. Right. And then you can support them in that process. So it cuts your training time down. Like it's so important to making sure you're able to be successful, to have those processes that you can monitor and make adjustments.
And one thing, we're so lucky these days. When I first started my first business, we didn't have all these things. Like I think QuickBooks desktop version was the only thing that you could do for bookkeeping. There was no Trello and Monday.com and all of these fancy tools that we have these days to be able to do it. And I think there's a positive and a negative about that. I think the negative is that we get overwhelmed because there's so many tools. Like what tools do we do? And they do all of these things and it's a little bit intimidating. But so then I think we don't use them because we don't even know where to start.
Yep.
But I think picking out some tools to start with, starting somewhere, asking other business owners or going online and doing some searches, or, writing on our pages and asking, we need to set up a process for this. What tool do you recommend? That is such an important part. And there's so many great tools available.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into the next one, right?
Yes.
Because you're saying, ask for help, go online, get on our group and ask questions. What you're doing there is you're seeking outside help, right? So the number 4 is we think we can do it all by ourselves. We don't need to seek outside help.
Or we're afraid that somebody's going to judge us, or we're wasting their time, or
steal our idea.
So many reasons why we don't ask for outside help. Yeah.
When in essence, there is like a whole community of people that are willing to help, right? There's people out there that would love for you to be successful. There's people out there that are successful, that are willing to provide ideas. We should not be scared to seek those people out.
No, we shouldn't. And you can save so much time and energy and money and headache simply by reaching out to somebody and asking them a simple question that they can answer in 30 seconds.
Yep.
Versus spending hours and hours and hours and hours trying to research it yourself.
Yep, exactly. So here's some examples of people, right, that I would seek outside help from, right? Yeah. An accountant.
We got the 3 pillars, like the 3 legs of the stool in business.
Yep.
The
accountant, the insurance agent, and is it the
lawyer?
Yeah, the lawyer. So those are 3 of the main pillars that you need to have a solid foundation. But then I would also get a banker. I would ask, partner with a sales or marketing, branding, like someone that is professional at that, because we're not, right? The majority of us are not. I see these posts and all this stuff out there. We're not good at that, That's the kind of outside help that I'm talking about that we need, right, up front. And also maybe a mentor or a coach, right, that can provide a different view on things for us to help us move forward.
Navigate.
Yeah.
All the fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So good. So far we've got neglecting to make a business plan, lack of funding, failure to monitor progress, avoiding outside help. And the last tip that we have for you today is neglecting marketing. This is something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, and look at that. That's one of the outside help we need to seek.
Exactly.
Right? Because how important is marketing for a business?
Yeah. I think that's another one that is really intimidating for people, especially as they're getting started, because nowadays, before you would do a radio ad or a newspaper ad, and nowadays there's radio and newspaper and billboards and Google ads and Facebook ads and Instagram ads and all of these things, magazines and blah, blah, blah. So many things.
Yeah.
Where do I start?
Where do you start?
You can quickly blow through money for marketing.
Right, because some avenues aren't just good for your business. Your people aren't there. So partnering with a professional that can help pinpoint where to go and get the where to market is going to be important for the success of your business, right? Because you can't market on every platform, right? Especially depending on the type of business that you do. It might not make sense to market on every platform.
No.
You pick and choose which one it is. Maybe even off social media, like email marketing and
Text Club. We did one on that.
Exactly. There's so many things that you need to sit down with a professional and strategize around, find out which direction to go so that you can maximize your investment there.
Yeah. And I'm going to add something with marketing that's not talked about a lot when we talk about marketing. And that is making sure that when you get people in your door, that you're taking good care of them. Or when you get people to your website, that your website makes sense. That's something that we struggle with a lot working with businesses and providing marketing opportunities, is we can get a lot of people to your Facebook page, but if your Facebook page looks like poo-poo, ain't nobody going to go into your business or contact you. So there are other things that need to be put in place. It's not just doing a Facebook ad or a billboard. It's okay, once they look at this billboard, what step do we want them to take? When they take that step, how do we make sure that we are cultivating that relationship all throughout to get the sale? Otherwise, putting your money into that billboard is going to be pointless.
Yeah. And another thing is, it's not an expense, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners alike, we look at marketing as an expense, and it's probably one of the first things we cut when we're struggling.
Yep,
right.
it is.
Especially if we're in a down market like now, right? The market's crazy right now. I'm saying we've been in a recession for a while, but the government won't put that out there. But that's just me. I think one of the things we need to double down on in this type of environment is marketing.
Yeah.
Because you need to get the word out there. You need to bring people through the door. So that's like a double down thing. And I think we have that backwards. So change your mindset around that. You need to keep that going.
Yeah, you think about even big major corporations. I mean, we all know who Coca-Cola and McDonald's and Pepsi are, but I mean, they put billions of dollars into marketing every year. And if the big companies are doing it, it's probably something that we should be doing as small companies. I mean, they got big somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's one of the major steps in getting there.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool. We got through 5.
Yep. 5 very important things that we don't put enough mind or thought around when we're starting a business that truly affects us.
And again, this can apply to new products too. If you're launching a new product or a new service, a new thing you want to add to your company, go think about all of these 5 steps because they apply to that too.
Yep. Love it.
All right. We will talk to you guys. I think the next episode we're going to do on fear.
Fear to fail.
Yeah. Failure is, I didn't mean fear. I meant failure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Failure is something that we don't talk about enough as business owners. And it's so important to talk about it. We're going to air it all out.
We are. That's going to be a good conversation. I'm excited about that one.
Me too. All right. We'll catch you next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.